Alright, so this is called perpendicular to a chord. First off, hope we know what perpendicular means. Perpendicular means that it intersects it directly at a 90 degrees. So you can see that right there. There's my radius, and my chord is the one that's horizontal, so you can see my angle right there. It says here radius or diameter, so it could be diameter, if it's perpendicular to a chord. So if it creates a 90 degrees, that means it cuts it in half, 2 equal parts. That means this side is congruent to this side. So if the whole thing was 6, each side would be 3, or if this was 2, this would be also 2. That's what it means. I'm going to apply the problem. Alright, so remember guys, they like to put extra information, but here's right here. This is the radius. I know it's not continued, but here's my radius, and here's my chord. Once you guys see that there's a right angle here, that means this is congruent to this. This one's easy. X equals 6. Just like that. 7.1, you didn't need to know that, so don't worry about that. Alright, same thing here. They gave you too much information. In this one, you do not need a 3.2, and the reason is, here's my radius. My chord is one right here. So if this is 3, this also has to be 3. So x equals 3. So very basic problem to start. Alright, so make sure we know what we know and what we have. So 31.8 is the diameter. That's why they put it in the middle. 7 is from here to here. 14.3 is from here to here. We want to know from here to here. That's what we need to know. So if I notice here, notice a couple things, guys. These are problems you're going to have to think a little bit. This whole thing is diameter, okay? If I look here, this whole thing is the radius, okay? So if the diameter equals 31.8, what's the radius? You just cut it in half. So half of 31.8 will be 15.9. Okay? So, if the radius is 15.9, and I know that this little piece right here is 7, all I have to do is subtract it by 7, and x equals 8.9. That's it. Alright, so we got here my diameter is 18.8, 4.2 is this little sliver, and 7.8 is here. So once again, just like our last round, our diameter was 18.8, now our radius is 9.4. So if this whole thing from here to here is going to be 9.4, that means this little sliver down here is 4.2. 9.4 minus 4.2, that means x has to equal 5.2. Because 5.2 plus 4.2 adds up to 9.4. Alright, so let's look at this. You're given a lot of numbers here. You're given, 5 different numbers, and you're looking for another one. But look right here, guys. The first thing you should notice is this. I have this, this, and that. Those are all the radii, and they're all the same number, 9.7. So the radius equals 9.7. Then if I notice this, if I go from here to here, that's also the radius. That's 9.7. But if I know from here to here, that's 5.1. So to figure that out, once again, we should take 9.7 minus 9.1, and I get 4.6. That's my answer. You can see, guys, they're giving me extra information I did not need to know. I don't need to know 8.2. Don't need to know it. Alright, now these problems are slightly different. Switch to this left one. Now you can see we do not know this side length right here. That's going to be hard because in the last problems we did know that. But I do know the radius is 10.4. But look right here. This is the big thing to notice about this problem, especially some of these problems that we're going to talk about, is right here. That is a right triangle. So that means we can use Pythagorean theorem. So if I take, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take 10.4 squared minus 8.4 squared. So if you don't know I got 37.6, I took 10.4 squared in my calculator, and I subtracted that answer from 8.4 squared. It's exactly what you should be doing. And then I square root this, and I'm going to round this. I'm going to get x equals 6 point, I'll say 1 decimal. Okay, so now the problem on the right. This one's going to ask you to do a couple things. Now, sometimes with this problem, you're going to have to draw something in. So you can see, I don't have a triangle, but I can create a triangle. Right there, I just created one. Now, this 15 goes here. Now, the question is, what is the length of the line I just drew? That's 18.9. If you don't know how I got that, I just went from the center to the edge of the circle. That is what we call the radius. If I go from the center to the edge of the circle, that was 18.9. And I'm going to try to find y first. We must find y. We're going to use to find x. So y squared plus 15.6. 18.7 squared equals 18.9 squared. Do the same thing I did with the left one. I'm going to take 18.9 squared, subtract by 15.7 squared. That's what you would do. You would literally take this number, subtracted by that number. And you get y squared equals 110.72. I'm going to square root that. I'll put 10.5. I rounded it. Now, if this is 10.5 and the whole thing is 18.9, subtract it. So that means this whole thing must be 18.9. We subtract it. We get x equals 8 point. Around, I'll say, oops. Should be 8.4. There you go. So you can see that, especially in the right problem, we had to do one thing in order to do something else. That's why people struggle with that. But notice those things. You got to start realizing that. Alright, last two problems with these chords. So 8.3, that's here. 4.4, that's here. And we want to find the radius. Alright, so there's two ways to do this. You can remember, guys. Oops, not that one, this one. This is the same as this because they're both radii. Also, if you remember, this side length here is the same as this side length here from the theorem we learned today. So if you want to find this, and whatever that angle or side length is, it's the same as this. You can move the 8.3 over here and do the Pythagorean theorem, but there will be a Pythagorean theorem being used. Regardless of which way you do it, you're going to take 8.3 squared plus 4.4 squared equals x squared. These are my legs, leg. This is my hypotenuse. So my calculator, I'm going to take 8.3 squared plus 4.4 squared. I'm going to get 88.25 equals x squared. I'm going to square root my answer. My answer here should be x equals, I'm going to round that to 9.4. 9.39, I rounded it. Alright, problem on the right. 30. I need to, first off, my radius here is 15. So I'm going to create a line. Actually, I don't need to. My bad. There's already a triangle right here. So this is 15. This is 14.1. Same reason why this was 8.3 and 8.3. This is 14.1, that has to be 14.1. First thing we're going to do is find y first. Use y to find x. Let me erase some stuff to clear some room. So first thing I need to do is y squared plus 14.1 squared equals 15 squared. So first thing I'm going to do is take 15 squared minus that to 14.1 squared. It gives me y squared. 26.19. I'm going to square root my answer. That means this answer is going to be 5.1. So if I know the whole thing is 15, and I know this little sliver right here is 5.1, just subtract. We've done this problem before. So the answer x is